Welcome to Challenging the Norm, his and hers look at life and business, hosted by Paul Snell and Lindsey Burden. This podcast is designed for solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, and business owners redefining success on their terms. Each episode dives into the topics that truly matter, offering a blend of candid discussion, practical insights, all delivered with a sense of humour. We reality check the latest business trends while offering a fresh perspective that challenges conventional thinking. Paul partners with business leaders, leveraging cutting-edge neuroscience to demonstrate how people-centered strategies drive transformational success. While Lindsey brings her unique approach to business coaching, empowering ambitious business owners to achieve financial abundance and a lifestyle rich in time and joy, all without compromising what matters most. Together, we are challenging the norm. So grab a coffee or your beverage of choice and join us as we explore the art of creating a life and business you love.
Hey, Lindsey.
Hello. I've gone festive just in case nobody notices or isn't watching.
You are festive. I feel woefully inadequate because if you're watching, I'm definitely not festive. I did consider, now this was only a consideration, but then I backed out, coward, putting these funky Christmas sunglasses I've got that I could have put on. And yes, I know. In hindsight, you go, wow, why didn't you just wear them, Paul? So Lindsey is very festive, which is fantastic. She has an elf on a shelf. Yeah, it's still on the shelf. Don't know how long it'll last there, but it's on the shelf. So here we are, Lindsey, end of 2025.
Wow.
It's been an amazing year. We've had lots of fun on the podcast. And we were saying before we came on, as we do, you and I could talk for England, honestly. Pick a subject, and 2 hours later, we'll still be on there.
Okay.
So we've had this incredible year of podcast episodes, fun. We've done challenging subjects, we've done fun subjects, and guess what? I have some stats. Yes. Oh, yes. Even just before Christmas, I've got stats. We've had a lot of fun this year, and I think it's worth saying you and I do this podcast because we want to have fun.
Exactly. And you're allowed to have fun in your business and you're allowed to have passion projects. And I would say this is a passion project.
It is. And we've had fun doing it. We will continue to have fun doing it. There's no pressure. We just enjoy sharing our views and laughing more often than not.
Yeah.
So here's your stats. For our podcast show, we've had a 500% increase with new audience, new people listening and watching. How amazing is that?
Like that one. Yes.
We have 30% new followers. People following me. How about that? That's an amazing stat. Here's some interesting ones. This makes me smile a little bit. So there are the top 4 countries that listen to this podcast. Mm-hmm. Number 1, you'd expect to be the UK.
Yes.
Then it gets a little bit odd.
Oh, go on.
You go, oh, we truly are international. Number 2, Canada. Biggest country in the world, landmass, Canada.
I have relatives there. Do you think it's just my couple of relatives? Do you think it's my 104-year-old great aunt listening to us on repeat?
I think it is. I think she's just left it on overnight. And
thank you, Aunt Mavis.
Number 3, the United States. Here we are, you and me, in sunny old Blighty, and they're the United States, and they're listening and watching. How amazing is that?
Amazing, yeah, really.
I don't have anyone in the United States who could be watching or listening, by the way. So I am impressed. And number 4 is the first foreign language country that doesn't speak English, not as a native tongue, right? So number 4 is Germany.
Oh.
So we have listeners in Germany, and isn't that fascinating? Isn't it great to have stats that you can just go, wow, who would have known? Who would have known? Lindsey and Paul sitting there chewing the fat, and all of a sudden someone sunny Germany is going, that's interesting.
Yeah, then them two talking rubbish as usual. Right, doesn't it? Well, there's several things it shows you, doesn't it? 1, get a podcast you can reach a larger audience.
Oh, yes.
Two, but also, you can have fun with something and it be successful. Now, is it successful in certain ways? Probably not. For most people, if you've got a podcast, you want to make money out of it, you want it to increase your business. We're still at that stage of having loads and loads of fun. But to have loads of fun with something and to have a passion project that's obviously reaching other people, I just think that's amazing.
Isn't it?
I love it.
And we have to remember people are choosing to listen and watch.
I know.
I just love it. I really do. And I'm sure I've spoken to a couple of people who listen and watch regularly. Funny enough, one in Canada, to be fair. And they just love the idea that we are absolutely not scripted. If you've ever listened to and watched us, there is no way this could be scripted. We don't do the scripted thing. I know some podcasts can be very structured in a way that means that they get lots of information across, and I think that's fine. I think that's great too. We just tend to be more conversational than that, right?
I think that it's about doing what suits you, doesn't it? And that suits you and I, Paul. We have, a lot of shared values, ethos, etc. And I think that makes a massive difference. We're already on the same page. We can sort of challenge one another a little bit. And I love it when you go, well, actually, I disagree, which doesn't happen often. And sometimes it's a different perspective or a different viewpoint. But I think if we were scripted, we'd lose that. We'd lose who we are. We'd lose the sense of fun.
Yeah.
There are so many incredible things that we have talked about over the years, not just even this year. And, are you still learning to play jazz, for example?
Yeah, do you know what? That's interesting because the answer's no.
Oh,
There's a thing, isn't it?
what happened?
But it's not all doom and gloom.
Okay.
He says with loads of anticipation. What I decided to do was I decided I needed something a bit more. What's the word I would use? I wanted something with a bit more impact. And so I know this is an odd thing to say because I guess piano could be impact too. But it's the electric guitar that I now play. And
Right.
the reason or some of the logic is I love jazz, but I have an absolute passion for blues. So while I could play blues on the piano and I enjoyed that, I was missing something. There are some brilliant blues players out there and blues guitarists out there that I can't replicate that on the piano. So it's not all doom and gloom. All I've done is port over my passion to an electric guitar. And now I get to play stuff that I couldn't with a piano. That I love emotion in music. By the way, I know I'm whittling on here about music, but I absolutely love the emotion of music, and I love the fact that that's part of the reason why the blues is so important to me. It's just unbelievably emotional to play that music, and so for me it was like, oh no, I think I need to do that. So the electric guitar blues is now my thing. Same target, by the way. I'm still going to go and play a professional gig on my 60th, which is, of course, years away. He says
Years and years away.
So it's been.
There you go. See, we talked about playing the piano and a long time ago, and here we are.
Yeah.
Here I am learning now something new about you. See, that's it. See, if we scripted it, I wouldn't learn this stuff about you.
You wouldn't. In the same way, you wouldn't hear about my passion for cheesecakes either.
No, we've talked about cheesecakes. We've also talked about your desire for a tea shop.
I am going to temper that. I know we do this. A lot of this is about business. So I'm going to temper my tea shop desires, but I'm not going to temper my cheesecake plans. And I have a very specific plan. And my very specific plan is, look, making cheesecakes, it does take practice, of course, like all things do. But there's a creative bit in me, which some may find surprising. There's a creative bit. I love decorating cheesecakes. That's my real thing. So I take fruit and I make it look like flowers, and I make it. Yes, I know.
Hey, listeners, I did not know any of this stuff.
So, so I have this passion. So touching on a subject that is relevant to our podcast, I have this love-hate relationship with social media, which we've discussed numerous times. But guess what? For me to share my passion for decorating cheesecakes, I need to use social media. And I'm beginning to get the idea that actually I'm okay with that. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Well, it's an item, isn't it? It's not you.
No,
Just do pictures of food. People do pictures of food all the time.
they do.
You are now, we've heard of it, food porn. Now we've got cheesecake porn. It's
Yes.
fine. It's
Yes.
absolutely fine. Wow. So we've
Yeah.
learned so much about you today.
Yes. In our little review of 2025, which so far has just been all a bit sort of about Paul. So what about Lindsay? 2025, Lindsay, come on.
I have had a wonderful year. I have had a year of growth, and that has been incredible. So, growth both financially and from a client perspective. And I put that down to several years of foundational work, and I'm using several years.
Yeah.
We've talked about things not happening overnight.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, Certainly this last or this next chapter or phase in my business has taken
Yeah.
years to build the foundations. And now that is coming to fruition for me. And in the main, I would say it's coming to fruition for me because I am showing up, I'm doing the work, I'm being consistent,
Yeah.
networking like my life depends on it. To be fair, I love networking, so it's not really an issue for me. For me, it has been an incredible year, and at times it has been my role, if you like, to keep some
Yeah.
of my clients a little bit more buoyant because outside of my path, it's been a nuts year for me. It really, really has. And there have been times when I've just wanted to shut some social media platforms off completely because I just like it's just horrendous
Yeah.
out. And I know this will really resonate with you. So I've started to listen to a podcast. I'm not very good with podcasts because I only have short moments of time to listen to them, but I'm listening
Yes.
to Davina's podcast. And if I just say Davina, everyone in the UK will know exactly who Davina is.
Yeah.
Her podcast is called Begin Again.
Hmm.
And I've listened to her interview a couple of people, and the one I'm halfway through, this is how long it takes me to listen, is she's interviewing, I think he's the psychiatrist or the psychology person from the original Big Brother. Don't know if you
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
And he said something really interesting that has really stuck with me. I can't remember anything else he said, but this stayed with me. Social media is there to make money. It doesn't care whether you want your feed
Yes.
full of dancing goats, chickens, cats, or misogyny. It cannot tell the difference. But what is there to do is make money.
Yeah.
And the news is the same. So this has really stuck with me just lately. And I'm like, well, that's what they're there for. It's a money making machine. So I knew that I had to remember that, especially for you as well, because I know that love-hate relationship that you have with news and social media. And we've talked, seriously, we have talked
We
about
have.
the impact that social media and news has on how we feel, the
Mm.
decisions that we make, whether we act, whether we don't, whether we
Yeah.
sit and wait. And it's that external environment. But I did find it fascinating. It's just there to make money. And it doesn't really care what you are scrolling.
Yeah.
We talk about the algorithm being really
Yeah.
clever. The algorithm can't tell the difference between misogynistic
Yeah.
content and dancing goats.
Yeah.
And
And
that's pretty scary.
it certainly can't tell the difference whether that's right, wrong, or indifferent. It just is.
Not a clue.
Yeah.
It's just content, and it's feeding us the same content
Mm.
that we like and that we're looking at because it wants us to stay on that platform for as long as possible because it can make money.
Of
I think
course.
that's been quite interesting. I think this year has, been crazier probably than any other. Maybe not, but it feels crazy right now in this world that we're in. It seems
Yeah.
really mad to think that we can have such a problem with misogynistic behavior, that we can have wars going on in at this time.
Yeah.
And people in America, leading that country, which, and I will be careful because we have a following in America, and whether we think it's right or wrong, there will be people that love Trump and people that don't, and that's just the way of the world, and that's the same in any, and they can look at our politicians, and by all means, for any Americans listening, do point your finger because we are no better. I just think, for me, it's been a year that I have worked hard to screen out, and we've talked about how to tune out. We've talked about it because it's important to us. We know the value of when we do that. And when we were talking earlier about the different episodes we've done, I know we often talk about your path, success on your terms. There are things that we really, and tuning out the noise so you can do that. And we talk about momentum. And I think the title that made me giggle the most is Will Lindsey be replaced by an AI coach? And the good news is, so far not. So far not. But we've covered so much.
Yeah. We have, and we have tried valiantly to keep it in that place that's very real, right? We talk about his and hers view, right? This isn't about what we're not, I don't think, is very prescribed, right? What we try to do, and we hope we do well, is be very grounded in what we talk about, how we talk about it. We've never sat there saying, well, we never, and I can't think of once actually, where we've turned around and said someone is completely wrong, right? We just don't judge in that way. What we try to do is give honest, clear feedback, awareness from our perspective, from our experience, from who we are, right?
Yes.
And I think that's important when we have people listening and watching this. I don't really want them to think that we're going to tell them that what's right or wrong. That what we're going to do is say, look, from two people that have been on this planet for a few years now, and have good experiences in business and life. Here's some views, right? Here's some ideas.
And I think one of the key, when we first started on this journey, I think that whole point of, challenging the norm, his and hers, look at life and business. I think there was a part of us, if we were honest, that thought there would be a greater difference between our views, that we would be able to pull in. And I think over time, there have been times and subjects where we have been able to look at it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But that said, because we share ethos and values, I think we come at it from a very similar angle and a very grounded angle. But I think that's really important, particularly for our young people of today, to show that men and women are not so,
No.
men are from Mars and women are for Venus, or whichever way around it is, and there are lots of differences in this world, or there are more challenges, you might say, for women than there are for men, and there's a lot of talk about the glass ceiling, etc. But I like the way actually that we have come at it from very similar viewpoint and place, and show a grounded view, and actually show that we can see it from both sides. We can see it from all sides. And we're not saying one is right or wrong, but what we're saying is there is a difference.
Yeah, and I think you're right. And I think also we simply by who we are, we're showing that, it isn't all about the difference, that actually we can agree. We might see it slightly differently at times. But the key is how we come to an agreement on it, how we come to a place of, I don't know, peace, whatever word you want to use, when we're doing these subjects. Now, for me, that's really important message to people, because if all we did was end an episode with going, well, sorry, Lindy, but you're wrong, and sorry, Paul, but so are you, that's not what we would want people to understand.
And that's how wars start.
That's how wars start. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder also, and I don't know, I wonder if it's our age, because we are very, very similar. There's months apart.
Yeah.
So we've come through a time, and we've touched on this before, we remember when email wasn't a thing. I remember 3 channels, never mind about the excitement of going to 4 channels, that excitement of that. And having to go to my neighbours to watch a royal wedding because we didn't colour. I mean, we remember a very different time. We've come through so much, and so much has changed in our lifetime. And perhaps that gives us an ability to see things from a different angle or a different perspective, and maybe that is something that helps us.
And I think our passion is to share that. For some people, that's a message they may not want to swallow. That they may go, I don't really want to listen to that. I don't mean in a negative, you're rubbish. It just might mean that it's not a message I want to hear. But at the very least, sharing our view is a view, whereas sharing nothing is nothing.
Yeah. And I think what has come up for me time and time again this year for myself and for my clients, when we follow the steps, when
Yeah,
we keep focus on the process, things happen, things
yeah,
change. When we're doing any work, all the work, and running off in all different
mm,
directions and chasing the shiny stuff, it doesn't work.
no,
And we can make business very, very hard for ourselves. So it's really
mm,
important to find, we've talked about this before as well, finding the right voices to listen to, making sure that you're not following somebody else's process or system to
yeah,
success, and that you're finding your own way. But
mm,
when we take the time to do that and are consistent in doing that, things do change and things do happen for you.
yeah,
As you're following a process, you can see where it needs tweaking, where it's not quite right, where it's not working. And because it belongs to you, as you evolve, as your business evolves, so can the damn process, because it was yours.
mm,
It wasn't somebody else's who was going to send you through the 25 steps to being a
yeah.
millionaire.
I think actually, I think that is the defining point for 2025 for me. I think I do
Oh,
think
I said something defining.
you say lots of things defining, Lindsay, all the time, but this is particularly defining. I just, I'm listening to you saying, in business, and I'm thinking, hang on, that's actually relevant for all aspects of life. Trust in the process and stick to the process. I think that's so, so important. And it's the reason it resonates with me a lot is this: I do have a bit of a thing for immediate gratification. I do have a bit of a thing that goes, we have become so used to having it now that waiting for a process to happen, whatever that might be, is no longer acceptable. And yet the magic happens in that process consistently over time. And
Yeah, and that having it now means you haven't experienced it, and we know how short life can be.
yeah,
So if you are trying to force it, if you're trying to get from A to B as quickly as possible, you're not experiencing the journey, you're not learning anything, you're not sitting in the moment of it, and that's dangerous.
yeah, it is. It is. And at the very least, you don't value it.
Yes,
It's just too
absolutely.
easy. And if it's too easy, we tend not to value it, right? And so this idea of process, commitment, consistency, I think it's the watchword for us. I know for me, 20, if we're looking forward now, 2026 is about that. I think 2025 for me is about maybe getting to a point where process is more evident, right? So just for context, I've always been able to rely on a black book, lots of contacts, who to talk to, how to do that.
Is it
But
literally an address book?
not anymore. It was.
I
It
was
was.
just checking.
Yeah, it definitely was. It's not anymore. But you outgrow that. You do outgrow that. And so if you outgrow it and have nothing, you'll end up with nothing. So for me, 2025 has been about refining, reviewing, defining. 2026 will be about execution for me.
Yeah.
It will be a year where the process becomes the lead. In past, it's been more about the outcome being the lead. And I think the outcome is important to define, but I think it's more important once you've done that to stick to the process.
It's really interesting because one thing I have been busy doing along with my strategic planning is I've been creating a business manual.
Oh,
So it includes all of the processes, all of the steps. And if process, you're going, what on earth is a process? It's the steps you take. It's
Yes.
any more complicated than that. It's just the steps you take. And actually, what made me realize is, okay, so I do a lot without only, so I need my own only manual. And I was like, and I've got this membership, and actually, I don't want to just ram a membership into my business manual. I want another one. So I've actually got three on the go.
Wow.
Well, actually, the only one is now finished. Boom! That was this week's big celebration. The other
Excellent.
still work in progress. Now, the business manual will remain in progress until I've done some of those pieces of work, because in January it's often when I streamline and I automate and I improve things, and that will need to feed into it.
Yeah.
But too often, I think, and I think this is particularly true of solopreneurs or those who might have a outsourced team. I think that's a good example. Well, it's all up here and it's all fine. It's all fine. But actually, when you write it down, I had someone, I was talking to a client the other day, or this week, in fact, and they were saying, well, I think I just need to work it all out before I do the manual. And I went, no, 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 no. You need to start the manual, because the manual shows you where the gaps are.
Yes.
The manual shows you where the problems are that need to be fixed, where the smoothing out can be, where you're duplicating. Like, oh, yes. So I said, just start. Because we can't make everything perfect, because we don't know what to make perfect.
Yeah.
But, it is all about the process. And I mentioned at the beginning, didn't I, when I was chatting, and I watched the Sir Chris Hoy Cancer, Courage and Me program documentary. And if you haven't watched it yet, I'm pretty sure it's iPlayer. Please have a box of tissues to hand, because it is a hard watch. But there are so many life and business lessons in there. And, that focus on the process is a very strong message. And that was a message from his coach when he was cycling. And he had a conversation with his coach now as he battles with his diagnosis. And his coach was saying, well, it's going to be the same thing.
Yeah.
Focus on the process. Focus on the steps. Focus on the things you do have control over. Focus on the things that you can do. Those tiny shifts that you can make that will, perhaps have an impact on the outcome, but you have no control over the outcome.
No, I think that's such wise words. We're having a wrap up podcast, and again, I look at the time and go, wow, look at the time fly. I think it's a good way to finish this. I think it's a good way for people to understand that focusing on the process isn't just something you might do or you could do, that the process actually becomes the key to success.
Yeah, it does.
And it's that classic, isn't it? More often than not, it's not complicated. We're not talking a complex process. But once there is a process, which is why I love what you just said, the idea that don't write the manual and then use the process, evolve the process during that writing of the manual, because you see the gaps. If there's anything in this episode that anyone's listened to, forget the cheesecakes, forget the music, go with that comment from Lindsey. It is the gold, right? So the idea that you write your manual and see where the gaps are in the process, that's genius. You and I throughout the whole of this year, we love to keep things simple, right? We don't use lots of convoluted words. We like to keep it simple, because actually business isn't complex. We can make it complex. We can overthink. We can do too much. We can become busy fools.
Yes.
But it isn't complex. So your nice definition of trust in the process, focus on the process. I love the idea, as I've said, where you can put that into a manual, and on the journey of that process, recognize the gaps, because you won't recognize them unless you do that. You really won't. So of anything in this episode, and we when we started this today, we didn't really know where that was going to go. We just thought, we'll have a chat.
We never know, Paul. Let's be honest.
I'm trying to sound professional, Lindsey. You ruined it for me. No, the point is, really today we wanted to reflect, and I think we have.
Yeah, I think we have as well.
I think we've reflected, and I hope the people that are listening to this, that you've enjoyed the year, had some fun. We're so pleased Lindsay's still here and not an AI.
Yes.
We're going to have that as a big tick.
Yeah.
We cannot wait for 2026 and to do more of this. But we hope you've enjoyed the summary, because I think there's been some good stuff.
There's been some love, there's been gold nuggets all
Oh,
the way
yes.
through that. Well, so I guess, Paul, that leaves us only with wishing everyone a Christmas and festive period that is all that they need and want it to be,
Yes.
and to say that we shall see them on the other side of the tinsel in 2026.
We certainly will. We've been so pleased to have your company listening and watching. We look forward to doing more of that. But in the meantime, my hope for you is a restful time over Christmas, peaceful time, enjoy, and let's make 2026 the year that we all want it to be.
Absolutely. So I'll see you in 2026.
You will indeed.